Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on, Mike. Thank you guys for being on. Hopefully everybody's doing well, coming off a good weekend. Obviously, we had a great win. It was a great team win. I think in my 10 games here so far, I think that's probably the most complete game we've played as a team, which is exciting. You're starting to see it, us really start to gel and come together. Like Coach talks about, teams make their greatest improvement from game 1 to game 2. And I think, we really took steps in the right direction as a team, as a program, and obviously as an offense. So we're excited moving forward. Obviously, we got a huge contest this weekend versus Utah. It'd be a great challenge. Kyle Whittingham and his defensive staff have been there for a long time. That system is, I equate it a lot like our system. Our system has been in place since 2009 and has been recruited to, developed, and has really, been developed over the course of those 12 years. And Kyle's been there even longer, both as a position coach, coordinator, now a head coach. And, they play hard, they play tough, they play physical, and it's going to be a game that's really going to be won up front in the trenches and who's the most physical team and who can play for 60 minutes. So we're excited for those challenges that lie ahead of us this week.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll open it up to questions, and we'll begin with John Schaefer.
Coach, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, John. Family all doing well?
Everyone's doing well. Thank you, and congratulations again on Saturday.
Thank you.
I just wanted to start with Jordan and really what pleased you most in terms of what you saw on Saturday with the way he took your game plan and was able to execute it.
Well, I think really the biggest thing is everybody saw what we see every day in practice. And when everybody wanted to know why Jordan, it's hard to sit here and explain it in words when you see it every day in practice. And I think that's what everybody saw throughout the course of the game. We talked about being a point guard and somebody who can distribute the plays, distribute the ball to the playmakers, and that's really what he did a great job of. He had some down-the-field throws. He made some good decisions in the pocket, and he was able to put the ball where it needed to be at the right time, at the right moment, so guys could do something with it. And those are the things. He did some checks. The touchdown throw to Ethan Dedeaux was actually a check at the line of scrimmage. He saw the exact coverage that we were looking for, and he got us into what we needed to get into. And then he had protection checks all day, and he was 100% on his protection checks, and we were protected all day. So those are the things that we see every day in practice, and I'm glad everybody else got a chance to take a look at it and see it. I'm happy for him first and foremost, and then obviously you can see how our offense operates when he is distributing that ball.
We talk so much about the quarterback, obviously, and then we talk about Greg Bell in this running back room a lot, obviously, as well, for good reason. What have you thought of your offensive line play, though, when you look at the success you've had, specifically running the football these first 2 games? How pleased have you been with the offensive line play so far?
Very. I mean, obviously, we're built up front. That's something that Coach has talked about from day one. That's something you've heard me speak about. We're built in our offense and defensive lines, and we rely on that. Really as the catalyst to everything that we do, both offensively and defensively. I think Mike Goff has done a tremendous job of really having those guys come together and work together and gel together. And I think really that's been the biggest thing is our development of those guys learning each other, learning how to be 5 playing as one. And you'll hear that a lot. We talk about 11 playing as one. As a total offense, and up front it's 5 playing as one, and I thought they did a good job of that versus, a very complicated scheme as Arizona's and Don Brown's, system of pressures and blitzes. I thought they handled everything extremely well.
And then just one final question. How critical was that first drive after, you didn't score in the first half against New Mexico State to put together that first drive and then get that home run from Greg Bell? That must have felt good.
You had to bring that up, didn't you? No, it did. I mean, obviously it did. Listen, we talk about starting fast all the time, and really, that New Mexico State game was an anomaly because we're usually the opposite. We usually start fast and play really good through the first 2 quarters, and then for whatever reason coming out of halftime. But really, I thought we were ourselves. I thought we were relaxed. I thought we were comfortable. I thought we were very comfortable with what we were doing, and I think you heard Jordan and Greg both talk about it post game. That's just the comfort level with where we were and what we were doing. And again, I think that goes back to like what Coach Hoke talks about a lot is that improvement from game to game to game. And a lot of that improvement is just experience. And that's what Jordan talked about when he said, I was more comfortable. I felt more prepared. He qualified and he said I was prepared the week before. But what he's talking about is the experience of being there, doing it every week, and really just that comfort of, okay, I know who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am. And I thought it showed, really throughout the entire game.
Coach, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Derek.
Hey, Coach. Big plays in this one, but it wasn't a bunch of big shots down the field. Short swing pass to Bellinger turns into a 25-yard touchdown, 73-yard earlier than that. Greg got some nice blocks on the second level. Can you talk about the way that your backs and your receivers are blocking as well? And because it looks like everybody is getting a hat on somebody, and it's really helping to spread. Even though they don't have to take a big shot down the field.
It is, and everybody's bought into doing their job on every play. And that starts with what Coach Hoke talks about every day, and it filters down into then the position coaches, and then as the coordinator between the offense and defense and special teams. I mean, you look at the block punt, and you have Kagan Williams and Terrell Shavers, and they execute a great play. But that's every guy doing their job. Kagan's going to get the credit for blocking the punt, but there were other guys who were involved in that allowed Kagan to get to that point. And that's the same thing that we are offensively, is everybody buying into their job and everybody doing their job on what they're asked to do on every particular play. Greg had 3 great blocks in the game. On Jordan's touchdown, he has a great block where he picks up somebody on the first level, and then on the reverse, he has a great block on the safety. And that's just that team emphasis that comes out every day, and we're built on team. And that can't ever change, and it won't ever change. And the players buying into it is the most important part of that. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's one of the more perceptive things about us is 11 playing as one in the team.
And you mentioned Kagan. Interesting to see a guy who was a starting caliber running back in on special teams. I know a lot of teams like to put their best athletes and players on the field on special teams, but with him as a senior, what's to say about him, and also I guess the depth that you guys have? You got a player of that caliber out there, blocking punts and even being on the punt coverage unit.
Well, first off, Kagan's a tremendous individual, and he plays with a great heart. He's really intelligent, and he cares about Aztec football. And that's really the mentality of a lot of our players in this program. It's Aztec football first, and whatever it takes to win. We just have tremendous depth at tailback, and that's why we utilize them in so many different positions, is to be able to get them on the field and get them in spots where they all can touch the ball and do something with it. Some games are going to be more than others. Sometimes, it goes in different directions and flows in different games, but everybody's going to have the opportunity to be there, and we're going to put them in position to do that. And then special teams is another opportunity. That's 1/3 of the game, and really they can maximize their plays by doing both offense and special teams, or defense and special teams. And that goes back to the mentality that Coach Hoke brings, and then the way that Doug Deacon coaches, and the energy and the enthusiasm that he brings for special teams. Players want to be a part of it, and they want to be with him.
And finally, for me, a lot's been made of the Pac-12 and how much San Diego State has had success against them. Last 7-2 in the last 9. Do you feel a little bit different there? Do you feel like this is a chance to maybe make a little bit more of a national statement when you're playing teams like this? You're having another one in Utah coming to town this week.
Well, I can tell you what I felt going into Arizona is I better not let the record down. Personally, that's just me. That's the pressure that I put on myself, was I got to live up to those expectations, and we got to beat Arizona. And that's the same thing going into this week is, it just happens to be Utah, but every week you go in with an expectation to win, and you have high expectations on what we expect our offense to do. And I don't necessarily think it's more of a national thing as much as it is we're built to win, and that's all that matters. And it just happens to be the next team that comes before us. And we got to continue that mentality. if that makes sense. It can't be playing to your opponent. It's got to be playing to whoever that opponent is that week with that same mentality, same toughness, same energy, and same expectations. And that's, I can only speak offensively for what we talk about, but that's what we talk about every week, is living up to those expectations every week and really taking care of ourselves with 11 playing as one.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Derek.
Thank you, Derek. Looking around for other questions for Coach.
Come on, Kirk. You don't have any questions for me?
We'll go back to John Schaefer.
I got another for you, Coach. How valuable can a crowd be? You guys are coming back home. I thought you fed off the energy in Tucson on Saturday night. How advantageous could it be if you're able to fill the house on Saturday?
Well, that's what college football is all about. I mean, that's what competing in athletics is all about, is that energy that comes about through the crowd and everything that takes place. And so, to see that place full or to see that place loud and rocking, I think would be a great advantage to us. You're right. I mean, it was, I thought, you listen to Jed Fish throughout the course of the week, and he talked about the energy and creating an atmosphere. I mean, from the minute we walked out on that field, that DJ was going, and you could see, like, it really almost, our kids were relaxed. And you know what I'm saying? It felt real. And I can't just tell you, I mean, we forget what that was like with everything we've come through over the past, 12 to 18 months. And it felt just like, okay, it was normal to be in that environment again. And obviously, when you're on the road, it's about quieting the crowd. But there's nothing better than being at home and having a huge play happen and listening to that crowd erupt. I mean, from playing to coaching, that roar that takes place when you're at home and you make a great play, I mean, there's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yes, sir, John.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Kirk.
Hi, Kirk.
Hello,
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I want to ask you about what are you thinking looking at Utah's defense against you guys? What are you expecting with them?
Kyle and his staff at Utah have always prided themselves on being able to stop the run. And you read coming out of the BYU game and everything that took place in the BYU game. They're gonna obviously, and rightfully so, is to be able to stop our running game. And we got to be prepared to be able to block the extra hitters in the box. We got to be prepared for all the movement that comes with them. They're tremendous coaches, and they're big and they're physical, and they're going to play tough, and they're prideful. And that's a program that's built on defense and pride, and that they're going to bounce back. And it's our job to go out there and match that intensity, match that toughness, and be able to move the guys at the point of attack, to be able to create seams for Greg and our backs to be able to go.
The thing I want to ask about is getting Daniel Bellinger more involved. Is that something we can see some more of this week, or that?
It's
you got another wrinkle?
Yeah, I mean, it's in every game. Sometimes things don't work themselves out. I mean, it's not like it wasn't in New Mexico State. Just sometimes things don't work out, where either the ball doesn't find him, or there's things that take place, where things are covered, and so the ball goes somewhere else, or the ball gets handed off. So it's in every game. And believe me, we're trying to get all those playmakers in, not just Daniel, but we're trying to get all the playmakers in. I look back and say, okay, I didn't get the ball to Kobe Smith enough against Arizona. He was our leading receiver against New Mexico State, and he had 2 targets in there. Now, how do we do that this week and continue to build all of them in to be able to get them all in a position to be able to make plays? So I absolutely, Kirk. I mean, Daniel's a big part of everything that we do. And don't forget, the biggest asset that Daniel is in the run game, because he's a point of attack tight end that can block 6, 7, and 9 techniques one-on-one. And in today's world, in today's football, especially college football, those guys are hard to find that can play both on the perimeter and in the box. And we're fortunate that Daniel's here with us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Kirk. Back to Derek.
Hey, Coach, this kind of just popped in my head. It's totally off topic, but you kind of strike me as a guy like me who's like a college football junkie.
Yes,
I know
sir.
you're kind of focused on your guys on game day, but when you look at Oregon going into the horseshoe and winning, and Jacksonville State walking off at Florida State, do you go back and watch games like that? And if so, what's your reaction, just kind of as a college football fan?
Been a part of both. Been the underdog that's walked in and won. Been the underdog that's come close, and been on the other end of it too, where you've been the favorite or the bigger program. And I can remember one of the years at Michigan, we almost lost to Akron. And so it's just those feelings. That is what college football is about. That's what makes it great. It truly is so even that anybody can walk in against anybody and really take it to the fourth quarter. And that's the greatest thing about being here with Coach Hoke and being with Coach, is that it doesn't matter who we play. Every game is really the same game plan in terms of get it into the fourth quarter and win it in the fourth quarter, because you're tougher, you're more disciplined, and you won't turn the ball over, and you'll be in a position to make the big plays and to play free. That's the hardest thing to get these players to understand in all those environments. Whether you're the favorite or the underdog, you have to be able to play free and not worry about making mistakes. And that's what happens when a Jacksonville State gets so close to Florida State, and then all of a sudden you get down to the last second. Okay, the guys at Jacksonville State are saying, we need one play, let's go. And it doesn't matter. You're just trying to get to that next play, just trying to get there. And then all of a sudden you're Florida State, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're one play away. Holy cow, they're going to start chucking it. And then all of a sudden you hit. Back in 2000, and I don't mean to belabor the point, but I think it was 2006, Michigan was number 2 in the country, and we played them 2 weeks before they went to Ohio State. They had an off week, and then they went to Ohio State. Ohio State was 1, Michigan was 2, and we're Ball State, and we're out of bowl contention. I think we'd already had our 7th loss at that point. And we walk in, and we have the ball with 50 seconds to go on the 8-yard line, and we're down 6. And we had 4 plays to score. What else can you live for at that moment if you're, like we were at Ball State? And that's what makes college football so great, is those opportunities to be in that position.